a 65 Mustang GT. When I acquired this car, they told me that it leaks for water or pressed out, but I don't see any leaking anywhere around until I start driving it, and then I noticed that the water goes down in the radiator, and then then it starts running a little warmer. So when it parked anywhere or stopped someplace, it never dripped or anything else. So the first thing I did was I checked the oil and see if the water was going down into the oil pan, and it is not. So since it came with a radiator, the people bought a radiator a long time ago and never did anything with it. That's because they never even drove the car. It just sat there for years and years. So I'm going to put a radiator, I'm going to put that radiator in, and at the same time I am going to change the thermostat. See, here it is. It's just a simple 289 with a 4-barrel carburetor, 4-speed. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the radiator out. So we'll put another radiator, and also what I'm going to do is replace the thermostat. So since I have to drain the water, I might as well do both at the same time. And then what I think I may do is I may take this thermostat and test it on the kitchen stove. I'll show you how that's done later on. Make sure you don't do this when this is hot. You're not going to be happy when you get burned. So at least wait till it cools down before you start a project like this. So basically it's 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 hoses. The upper hose and the lower hose. Okay, so let me get a clean pan, because I'm just going to put it here and drain the water, or the press down, and most likely if it's not bad I'm going to just reuse it. So let's get started. First we'll just loosen the cap. You don't have to take it off, just have to really loosen it. And then way down on the bottom over here, we'll just open that up. And let the water, going a little too far. But anyway, just let the water drain, or the press down. Now, if you were just replacing the thermostat right here, then all you have to do is just let the water, just drain the water out, drain the water down in the residue in the radiator so it's lower than the thermostat. And then you could take off the hose and replace the thermostat. But in this particular case, we're going to replace the entire whole radiator. So the water is almost drained out. Okay, so on this radiator there's 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, and they're coming from this side, not the other one. So what I'll do is I will take all these out. There's one. Okay, there's 2. Okay, there's number 3. Alright, I'm going to stop here because I have one more here, and that's real easy access. But now that the water has stopped, I'm going to close the little cockpit there, but we know there's still water in there. It'll be on the hoses. Okay, we'll take the clamp off for the first one, and then we'll take it off over here where it goes into the thermostat. Okay, so here's the second clamp. Just a little stuck. So I'm going to move my pan over just in case there's a little bit of water left. So wiggle this guy off the top. Sometimes they get a little sticky, but there we go. We got it off. Okay, so there's the thermostat. So now let's do the bottom hose on the radiator. There's what we're doing. We're going to take that clamp off and remove the hose from the radiator. Then then we'll come back up here, take this hose off, and then we'll take the final bolt, top bolt, off the radiator and remove the radiator. Alright, now when you take this bottom hose off, I couldn't show it because I couldn't hold the camera and do everything at the same time. There's always water or Press-Dome coming out because it's still in the hose. So be prepared, or else you're going to get it on your driveway, which is no big deal either, but it's less to clean up. So now let's take the final bolt out and take the radiator out. There it comes. There it comes. Okay. Now for the last bolt. Notice on these early Mustangs they didn't have a plastic shroud over here. They just put the fan pretty close to the radiator. Okay, here's 1/2-inch bolt number 4. Okay, with both the hoses off. Now if you had automatic transmission, you would have 2 automatic transmission fluid lines on the bottom that you would have to take off also. So whip this right out, and here we go. Okay, here's our new radiator. So, same thing. The only thing we have that's different would be the replacement has 2 plugs here for automatic transmission, where the original does not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this radiator in case at some point somebody is a real fanatic and wants to have the original radiator. They can just have it, bring us to the radiator shop and just have them replace the cores and keep the original tanks. Our replacement radiator did not come with the clips, so just sort of have to back these out. And we'll do it for the other side also. Just pry these right out. Okay. And for the new radiator, let me just line these up. Okay, so when you put it, bolt this together, you have to put this clamp so the screws part is on the outside, because the bolt comes from the front side of the car. And you can tell because this is where the hose is hooked up. So I just lined them up so I know that, see, the replacement comes with several different holes, but I only want the top one. So there. And then the bottom one will be the farthest one to line up with this one. It'll be the bottom one. So now we know. I'll leave that one. I just want to make sure this goes through, and yes it does. So let's do this one. Okay. And we'll do the same thing with this side. So it's the top one. And then the very bottom. It's easier to line all these up now than it is after it's in there. So, okay, so let's put it in again. Make sure you have the clamp on the hose before you put it in there, because what will happen is you'll put the hose on here and then you'll have to take, then the clamp won't be on the hose, then you have to take it back off again. That's just a simple little thing. But anyway, so let's just drop this right in here. Okay, so move it into position, and let's do the easiest one first. Half inch clockwise to tighten. Okay, a couple turns will do. Now let's go to the next easiest one. One up on the top. You can see the bolt coming through. Okay. Do the bottom one. Alright, and the last one. See, it made it easier because we lined everything up before we even put it in here. Okay, so now let's just tighten. Alright, and I just tighten the bottom one. That one's tight. Now, the other thing is, be careful when you work on these radiators, because sometimes you just get the skin taken off a little bit if you move too fast next to it. Okay, so they're all nice and tight. So the radiator's not going anywhere. Now the next thing is, let's do the hardest one first, and that's the bottom hose. Okay, so here's the bottom hose. Okay, I can't do this one hand, but anyway, I'm going to put that on the radiator, then I'm going to come back here and put the clamp on. So I got the clamp on, I mean the hose on, now I got the clamp on. I made sure when I put this clamp on that I put it in a position that when I tighten it, or if I need to take this off again, it's in an easy position versus off to the side or some other thing. Okay, so I ran the plastic overflow hose, put that on there, tighten it up. Okay, so now we just have to put the top hose on and fill it back with water. So now we're going to change the thermostat, which is right here at the front part of the engine. The hose goes one side and the hose goes to the radiator. So it goes from there over to there. So that has two 1/2-inch bolts, one here and one hiding down here. And then also we have this little hose on the front. We'll have to take that off too. So let's take the hose off first, because if we take the thermostat housing off, then it'll be a little harder to take this hose off. But if we have it stationary here, it'll be easy to get it off. Easier to get it off. Okay, so we'll undo the clamp. Now I still have my pan there because there may be water coming out of here from the block. Get a pair of pliers here to see if we can twist that hose a little bit. Convince it to come off? No. Okay, it won't come off. So we'll take the bottom one off first. We'll do the same thing. We'll loosen the clamp. And just sort of pry it off a little bit. Give that a little twist, and off it comes. Rudely interrupted by the rain. Then after the rain went away, we opened up our garage again. Of course, it's only the driveway. There's one. This one's a little harder, just because it's hidden. It's not really harder, it just takes more time, that's all. Let's see if I can do this by hand. Oh, yes. Okay, look at that. And we got the lock washer to go with it. So we'll get my little putty knife out here. If I can break this loose. There it comes. Nice and easy. There we go. So when we take this off, just for the fun of it, pay attention which way the thermostat goes. As you can see, the spring goes that way. Okay. Why is it on there funny? Looks like
I would guess. Somebody didn't put this on there right. But I don't know, it is what it is. So if you look at the two of these, they are the same. Same diameter. Okay, so let me clean that off. So next thing, I want to clean off just one gasket material. Strip it clean. Then I'll get this side too. Okay, let me just do a little bit more and I'll wire brush this and then we'll come back. Okay, so here's the new thermostat. Here's the intake manifold here. When I put this thermostat in, there's no lip here or whatever to catch it. It just slides. And I thought that if it didn't have it on that side, it would have it on here, but it doesn't have it here either, so it just sort of slides. So what I think I'm going to do is use a different type of gasket cement there. I'm going to use this stuff. Probably never seen it before. It's Permatex number 2. It's like a tar. So I'm going to put this on the manifold, put the thermostat on there, and put the gasket on there to hold it in direct center while I put the housing back on. Add a little bit more protection, or not protection, whatever. I'm just going to put a little bit all the way around here. Or should I say glue, you know? Okay, so I got it all the way around. Okay, so I'm going to put this here, right where I think it belongs. And then I'm going to put the gasket on over the top of it. Line all these holes up. Okay, that's lined up. Then I'm going to put more of the stuff on the other side of the gasket. In fact, what I will do, instead of disrupting that gasket, I'm going to put it on this side here. Okay, so now I'm going to slowly put this on here. I'll start the easy side. Then I'll come from behind here. Got that started. Okay, this is one of these quarter turn jobs. Hopefully the thermostat didn't move from dead center where I set it. Okay, we'll go to this side here. Okay, let's tighten the other side a little more. I want to do it equal. I get a little longer wrench, that's all. Alright, that should be enough. Down there, super tight. The next thing we're going to do is put this little hose on. Okay, I put that same stuff, that Protect stuff, on the inside of the hose for each one of these. So I'll just put it on the water pump and then slide it in. Oh, look at that. It goes right in there so nice. Make sure you have the clamps on the hoses before you put it in there, because it's too hard if you don't. Okay, that's the lower side. Now let's do the top side. Okay, let's come back here and look one more time. Okay, that's not going anywhere. That's perfect. Okay, once again, I want to put these clamps on before I even put the hose on. There, make sure it's on the bottom too. Let's get rid of this clamp so it's not annoying. Okay, now let's go back and do this one. Push the clamp all the way on. Okay, come back here. Alright. Okay, so that's not going anywhere. So we got, put the thermostat in the gasket, the 2 bolts, put the hose on from the water pump back to the manifold, and then here's the hose from the housing for the thermostat, goes to the radiator. The bottom radiator hose is already in. That goes to the bottom of the water pump and goes to the bottom of the radiator. So I have full confidence that I'm going to spill it all over the place when I put it in there for the radiator. So I'm going to first put it in this not bad enough. Okay, now I'll do this. Okay, so you'll see right in here, you won't see the top of the radiator coils anymore. You'll see a little bit of water. So now, what I want to do is start this thing up and let it run. And what will happen, once it gets warm, that thermostat will open, and then you'll get the circulation going through the radiator back to the motor again. And you will be able to see it right here. So I guess I'll put a little bit more in here. All right. Depending on what part of the country you live in, is the amount of pressed stone versus water that you have to mix. and it tells you the minimum protection 50-50 will go to minus 34. Right here. 70% antifreeze and 30% water is about minus 84 degrees. I don't know. I mix it at least 50-50, sometimes even more. Especially on these older vehicles. The newer ones are different, but here in California, I don't know. Probably need 25% Presto, that's all, on a good day. But if you go to upstate New York, it's a whole different ball game. Or if you go to Minnesota, make sure you got Presto in there. See, now you can see this, so let me start this up and let it run. Okay, so I got it running. I'm looking over here, and there's no leak. And it's not leaking down on the bottom, but here's a dangerous thing about these cars. There's the fan. Be careful. That's whipping along. You touch that, you're not going to have a finger left. These early cars don't have shrouds for a little bit of protection. So be careful.
Okay, so after I changed the radiator and the thermostat, I still have the same problem. The water goes away, and then after a while it starts running really warm because it doesn't have enough water. But once again, if you stop someplace, there's no water on the pavement, nothing. Well, I finally what happened is I got lucky, and I drove the car, and then it was getting warm. I drove it home, and I started looking all over, and I found out where the problem was. If you look at the housing for the thermostat, it had a little tiny leak behind here, and it was pooling right there. Okay, so you look very carefully. Right there, you're going to see we got water leaking. So we did not get lucky. We have to take that apart. We'll look at that again. Okay, and I didn't see it unless the car was running, because what happens is if it sits, the engine is so hot that it evaporates. But when you're driving the car, of course that Prestone just probably just flies out, so it doesn't really accumulate there. So between being hot and the wind blowing in here, it goes away. So like I said, I just got lucky. So now what I got to do is take that housing off again and see what is going on behind there.